there everyone, welcome to this lesson on whole number calculations. In this lesson and in the next few, we want to look at the following whole number calculations: estimation and rounding, rounding and compensating, calculations in columns, long division, multiples and the LCM, and factors and the HCF. In this lesson, we'd like to look at estimation and rounding. Let's first look at the definition of estimation. Estimation is trying to get close to an answer without actually doing the required calculation with the given numbers. Estimation is also known as approximation, and we also have something called the error. Now, the error is the difference between the actual answer and the estimate. In this example, it says, estimate each of the following sums and products. In each case, round the numbers off as indicated. Also give the error of your approximation. In A, we have to add 17 and 55, and we have to round off the numbers to the nearest 10. Now, 17 is closer to 20 than to 10, so we can round it up to 20. 55, we can either round up to 60 or down to 50 because we have a 5 as a second digit here. So, because we rounded off 17 to 20, we can round down 55 to 50. And the answer is 70. So this is the estimate. Now, let's see what is the actual. We can use a calculator for that. So 17 plus 55. And we see that comes to 72. So, therefore, the error will be the difference between the actual and the estimate. So it's 72 minus 70, which of course is 2. Let's look at B. We can round 87 up to 90. It's closer to 90 than to 80. 43 we're going to round down to 40. Then 9 times 4 is 36. And we add 2 zeros. Let's look at the actual. So it's 87 times 43. And we see that it comes to 3,741. So then the error will be the difference between the actual and the estimate. And this comes to 141. Let's look at C. We have to round the numbers to the nearest 100. So 177 is closer to 200 than it is to 100. So we're going to use 200. 343, we can round down to 300. And this comes to 500. So the estimate is 500. Let's look at the actual. Comes to 520. So then the error in this case is 520 less 500, and it comes to 20. Here we have to round to the nearest 100 again. So 637 we're going to round down to 600. 472 we're going to round up to 500. So 6 times 5, of course, is 30. And we have to add 4 zeros. So it's 300,000. Let's look at the actual. $637 multiplied by 472. And it's 300,664. So then the error will be the difference, which is just 664. Here we have to round to the nearest thousand. So 2,144 is closer to 2,000 than it is to 3,000. So we can round down to 2,000. 1893, we can round up to 2,000. And the answer, of course, is 4,000. Let's look at the actual. $4,037. And the error, of course, is the difference, which is 37. We have to round to the nearest thousand again. So it's 2,000. 3683 is closer to 4,000 than it is to 3,000. So we round up to 4,000. 2 times 4, of course, is 8. And we have to add 6 zeros. So let's look at the actual. $7,859,522. So 7,859,522. Let's look at the error. So 8 million. $140,478. Let's look at your answers to this question. In A, we have 43 plus 88. We have to round to the nearest 10. So 43 we can round down to 40. 88 we can round up to 90. And 40 plus 90 is 130. Let's look at the actual. So it's 43 plus 88. And that's 131. So our error in this case will be the difference, which is 1. Then in B, once again we have to round to the nearest 10. 33 is closer to 30 than it is to 40, so we're going to round it down to 30. 78 we can round up to 80. 3 times 8, of course, is 24. And we have to add 2 zeros. Let's look at the actual. So it's 33 multiplied by 78. 2,574. Let's work out the error. The error will be the difference, in this case 174. Here we have to round to the nearest 100. So 419 is closer to 400 than it is to 500. 567 we can round up to 600. 400 plus 600, of course, is 1,000. Let's look at the actual. $986. And the error is the difference between the two, which in this case is 14. Once again, we have to round to the nearest 100. So it's going to be 300 times 700. 3 times 7, of course, is 21. And we have to add 2, or rather 4 zeros. 210,000. Then the actual is 199,660. So then the error $10,340. We have to round to the nearest 1,000, so it's going to be 6,000 plus 9,000, which is 15,000. Then the actual $14,808. Then let's do the error. So it's going to be 15,000 less 14,808. Which is 192. Here we once again have to round to the nearest 1,000. So that's going to be 2,000 plus 4,000, or rather multiplied by 4,000. Two times 4 is 8, and we have to add 6 zeros. Then the actual $7,951,260. So let's do the error. So 8 million 48,740. Let's look at rounding and compensating. Compensating means doing something in order to remove damage that was done. Let's take an example in the context of the addition of whole numbers. Let's say we want to estimate the sum 478 plus 2,316. And let's say we want to estimate this sum by rounding to the nearest 100. 478 rounded to the nearest 100 is 500. And note that we are rounding up by 22. 2,316 rounded to the nearest 100 will be 2,300. And in this case, we are rounding down by 16. Then the estimate of the sum will be 2,800. Note that we are rounding up by 22 minus 16, in other words 6, more than we are rounding down. To compensate for this, we must subtract 6 from the estimate. In other words, we'll get 2,800 less 6, which gives an answer of 2,794. If we do the original sum on a calculator, we see that this is the answer. Let's look at your answers to this question. In A, we have 283 plus 506. We're going to round 283 up to the nearest 100. So 283 plus 17 will give us 300. 506, we're going to round down to 500 by subtracting 6. So 500. So our estimate here will be 300 plus 500, in other words 800. Now we rounded up by 17 minus 6, in other words 11, more than we rounded down. So we've got to subtract 11 from 800. So then our actual answer will be 800 less 11, and that's going to be 789. Let's go to B. We're going to take 813 and round it down to the nearest 100. So 813 less 13 is going to give us 800. And 465, we're going to round up to 500. So we're going to add 35. And we get 500. So our estimate will be 800 plus 500, 1,300. In this case, we rounded up by 35 minus 13, in other words 22, more than we rounded down. So once again, we have to subtract 22 from 1,300. and that's going to give us 1,278. Let's go to C. We're going to round down 912 to 900 by subtracting 12. We're also going to round down 605 to 600 because that's the nearest 100 by subtracting 5. So we get 600. In this case, our estimate will be 900 plus 600, which is 1,500. Now, in this case, we rounded down in both cases by a total of 17, 12 plus 5. So we've got to add 17 to this answer. So it's the actual then will be 1,500 plus 17, which is 1,517. Let's go to D. 174, we're going to round up by adding 26 to 200. 356 is closer to 400 than to 300. So we're going to round this up as well by adding 44. So that's 400. Then our estimate will be 200 plus 400. In other words, 600. In this case, we rounded up in both cases by a total of 26 plus 44. In other words, by a total of 70. So we have to subtract 70 from the 600. And that's going to give us 530. In this example, we want to look at how to round off and compensate when subtracting. It says round off and compensate to calculate the following correctly, and it's 7,568 less 3,894. We start with that which we need to subtract, in other words with 3,894, and we're going to round it to the nearest thousand. So we round up 3,894 to 4,000, and we can do this in two steps. We first round to the nearest 100. So 3,894 plus 6 will give us 3,900. Now we round to the nearest 1,000. We add 100 to get 4,000. So the total by which we rounded up is 100 plus 6, which is 106. We also add this to the 7,568 in two steps. First we add 6 to get 7,574, and then we add 100 to get 7,674. Now we subtract the 4,000 from the 7,674 to get 3,674. Let's look at A in this question. We start with what we need to subtract, in other words 2,581. We're going to round it up to the nearest 1,000, and we can do this in two steps. We can first round it to the nearest 100, which is 2,600. So 2,581 plus 19 will give us 2,600. Now we round it to the nearest 1,000, so 2,600 plus 400 will give us 3,000. So we added a total of 19 plus 400, in other words 419 to 2,581, So we also add it to the 5693 now in 2 steps. So 5693 plus 19, and we can just do the calculation. 3 plus 9 is 12, carry 1. And then 9 plus 1 is 10, plus 1 is 11, carry 1. And then 1 plus 6 is 7. And then we have 5. Now we're going to take 5712. And of course, we could have done this in 2 steps. 5712 plus 400. And that's going to give us 2116. So 6112, 6112. And we're going to take the 6112 and we're going to subtract 3000 from it. So let's do that. So our final answer will be 6112 less 3000, which is 3112. We can check the answer. So it's going to be 5693 less 2581. And we do get 3112. Let's go to B. Once again, starting with what we're subtracting. So 4327. We're going to round it down to the nearest thousand. So we simply subtract 327. Because 4327 is closer to 3000 than it is, or rather 4000 than it is to 5000. So we get 4000. Note that we've added 327. So, or rather we subtracted 327 from 4327. So we must also subtract it from 8931. And we can do it in 2 steps. We can first subtract 27. So that's 8904. And now we can subtract 300. And we get 8604. So once again, we're going to take this number and subtract the 4000 from it. So our final answer then will be 8604 less 4000. And of course, this is 4604. Let's check that answer. So it's 8931 less 4327. And we do get 4604.